and who championed this particular cause? Well, we're looking at two development commissions, right? We're looking at the Northwest Development Commission as well as the Southeast Development Commission, and still looking at the only template that we have at the moment, which is the NDDC. How has the NDDC fared so far? We saw during the Buhari's administration, it was embattled with one issue of corruption or the other. There was 52 million pounds deal. There were so many issues, especially with the NDDC, and we're going to be looking at all of that and unpacking it, why it's important, or if it's an avenue for these individuals who are going to be the board, because rightfully so, those geopolitical zones are underdeveloped. But are these commissions going to do what it's set up to do? Mr. Larry, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, Jesse. Good to talk again.
All right. Let's look at the NDDC, right? Let's look at some of the issues that it faced so far. But before we do that, let's get your take on this signing of the NWDC and the SEDC into law by the
I view these development commissions with mixed feelings, because it's a sign that the country is gradually failing all over. There was no need for Niger Delta Development Commission until Nigeria failed the Niger Delta people. We took their crude oil, we used oil to develop the rest of Nigeria, and we abandoned the goose that laid the golden egg. When it became clear that we couldn't continue milking the cow without feeding the cow, we decided to donate Niger Delta Development Corporation. I had the misfortune, or good fortune, depends on your perspective, of going to Bonny Island at some point in my life. And is where I want to start. That'll be an issue. We didn't have it before. Now that insurgency and trouble spread to Northwest, we also have Northwest Development Commission. But my pain in this whole saga is that the first development commission we should have had, that is the Southeast Development Commission, was never established. And I say this with all sense of responsibility. One of the reasons for establishing the Southeast Development Commission now is to help development, and but one talked about the concern of helping the Southeast. How many years after? So that's the story of Nigeria. I want to start from that background, that perspective. So you begin to ask yourself, are we going to run the country development commissions as a result of failure of government to do their statutory day-to-day duties? What is the function of the development commissions, for instance? If you look at the Northwest, their function is to get money and use the money to manage the effects of insurgency, develop infrastructure, blah, blah, blah. You see, when you look at the mandates of these development commissions, you realize that if we had good governance at the federal and state and local government levels, we wouldn't need development commissions. If we didn't allow infidels to run amok and destroy life as plans to regions. So I want to stand to regions. So I want to state clearly that is actually failure of governance. Failure of governance that led us to establishing all these development commissions. Start development commission. Niger Delta would have been developed, and there wouldn't have been any kidnapping and unrest and all of those things. Obasanjo established NDDC in 2000, way back. And that you ask yourself, are these things that couldn't have been done by state and federal government? The answer is no, they could have been done by state and federal governments. If you look at the level of corruption that pursued NDDC. At some point, NDDC became an example of what happens in Nigeria. People pass out under question, there are all sorts of drama, allegations, counter allegations. They were building a headquarters for God knows how long. That headquarters became like Tower of Babel. The thing was never ever until recently. And it got billions. So you begin to ask yourself, will the other development commissions go the same way? I hope not. But I think it's important that we say, oh, yes. I hope not. But I think it's important that we say, oh, yes, the development commissions, considering that we have chosen to mismanage our country, if the commissions will give us a new direction that will enable these regions to experience some degree of the presence of government and governance, then so be it. Then so be it. But I just wanted to emphasize the fact that we are establishing these commissions as if.
Mr. Larry, let's first of all look at the NDDC. Now, if you look at the NDDC, you would see that the minister of Niger Delta Affairs, the former minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Mr. Akpabio, he was at the helm of affairs during the Buhari's administration. Delta Affairs, Mr. Akpabio, he was at the helm of affairs during the Buhari's administration when, in fact, there were different counter allegations made that contracts were being awarded to several lawmakers, and they were the ones who didn't do the job. It was a hot mess. There were people who fainted because of the barrage of questions in the National Assembly. There were so many issues with that particular NDDC. And Mr. Godswill Akpabio, and now we're seeing him at the helm of affairs in the National Assembly, passing another development commission into law. Who is to say that the mechanisms that are supposed to be put in place to forestall any corruption from going on in those places will actually be put in place? Because that's where the crux of the matter is. The idea of having an NDDC, a development commission, doesn't sound like a bad idea if it does what it's supposed to do, right? But it's the corruption in itself that is of importance to Nigerians at this point.
No, but so I like this perspective you're raising now. You see, it's the same corruption that led to the ineptitude of government at the different levels that led to the establishment of NDDC. And then the same NDDC became so corrupt that they gave us plenty to watch and talk about. One of the most interesting statements I had during this whole corruption, during the whole corruption investigation saga, was when this Nunez alleged that Akpabio told her, it was very funny. She alleged that Akpabio told her that if she didn't follow his insider, that's what she said. I wasn't there. It's an allegation. So, but the most important thing is it tells you how Nigerian institutions are run. And they also tells you the quality of people who run Nigeria's institutions. So after all that drama at NDDC, Akpabio is now the Senate President. I wish Nigeria luck. Yeah, but Akpabio is now the Senate President. I wish Nigeria luck. Yeah, but the truth is that what you said underscores the truth is that what you said underscores the reason we even have the development commission. The right people, our economy, and lead well. And then when it became very bad, they now respond with institutions there for you again. Is it a bad idea? Not entirely a bad idea, but I'm just saying this so that we'll be careful not to think that because you have a development commission that there'll be development. The quality of life of the Niger Delta people has not improved significantly, underlined significantly, since the Niger Delta Development Commission. I believe sincerely that if the money allocated to NDDC was used judiciously for the purpose of development, in the best interest of the people, Niger Delta would have become El Dorado by now. It would have been significant. I sincerely hope so. Because if we create jobs for the big men, where they go and have privileged opportunities to do contracts and share our money, and then these institutions that give them the privileged opportunities do not reflect as blessings to the people, then there's really no point. But if we manage the Development Commission well to do that which it was intended to do ab initio, that is, if we are really focused, appoint the right persons, have a proper board, have proper oversight, and then forensic accounting, not until there's corruption. We make it a standard that we have to check where the money goes to per time, where we follow the money sincerely, both at the government level and the citizens level. We will stop this whole thing. We have enough money to make Nigeria a very comfortable country. We have enough for the need of Nigerians, but we don't have enough for the greed of the politicians. That's Abiola speaking. The need, yes, we have enough for the need of Nigerians, but for the greed of the few who take all our resources to live lavishly, to live large, we don't have enough for them, because we can't ever have enough for them. So I think we need to get to that point where we understand that the Niger Delta Development Commission may not be the silver bullet we are looking for. The Southeast Development Commission may not be the silver bullet we are looking for. These commissions can only help us if we get to that point where we are able to manage them well, professionally, do oversight, punish people who steal the money, and most importantly, reward people who do well. But the thing I must say also is that it starts with leadership. We need to have parameters for appointing leaders who head these development commissions. The situation where we use the positions to reward politicians won't cut it, because that will just be creating jobs for the boys. It won't work this time. We should look for people who have a track record of getting things done, who have a heart for the welfare of the people, and who are not in any way tainted with corruption. If we can find good men and women who head this commission, the way Akinwumi headed NAFDAC, so you could see the transformation and the impact. Then you will now begin to see, oh, that's nice. We have a commission in the Southeast. This is what they have done in the past 3 years. We have a commission in the Northwest. This is what they have done in the past 3 years. But if we have a commission that will just start giving us more drama when the probe comes, people will pass out when they can't answer questions and all of that, then you begin to ask yourself, is it really worth it? Just duplicating. We're saying we're going to cut costs too. And these agencies will cost billions to set up. I'm not saying it is bad. I'm saying that we must ensure that the purpose for setting them up is achieved. And I also said clearly that the agency for Southeast should have been established in 1970 or 1971. To do the reconstruction, rehabilitation, and reintegration. That wasn't done, but better late than never. Better late than never. Let us see what happens with the quality of leadership that we'll have for those commissions.
Is there a way that we can remove? During the last conversation I just had with Mr. Rufai, caller Lord, who are eager to make a name for themselves, good name for themselves, who are eager to make a dent in, at least so that posterity will remember power of appointing the head of these commissions from the president. Sorry, Mr. Larry, before you respond, sorry, I just forgot. I just remembered. We're live on YouTube. Please click that subscribe button. It's very important to us. Click the subscribe button and watch the videos, like and share. All right. And then you can join the conversation on WhatsApp or leave a comment on our YouTube on WhatsApp and phone call. We are 0808 part of the conversation. Mr. Larry.
Well, we don't look at these things properly because the old generation failed us repeatedly. We assume that younger people will cut it. It's an assumption. It may not work. The man that is popularly referred to as White Lion was one of those who was touted as being young. and that he was going to do well. I can give you a list of young people that failed us woefully. I think what we should do is to set up parameters for scrutiny. You see, while we have this assumption that young people want to make a name for themselves, I can tell you that a lot of young Nigerians want to make money for themselves now. They don't care about a name. There are also middle-aged people who want to make a name, who want to leave a legacy. There are even old people who want to make a name and leave a legacy. While I'm not saying that what he said is wrong, I'm saying that the general assumption that young people will necessarily do better than older people is not true. This is an individual thing. It's an individual thing. Look across the world. There are old presidents that did well. Look at Ronald Reagan, for instance. Did brilliantly well. But also look at Clinton and Kennedy. Did well. So I think we need to be a little less emotional about some of these issues that we tackle. Because we have seen old people fail us repeatedly, doesn't mean that we should discard them. They have experience. So if an old person who has seen corruption operate without being dented wants to stop corruption, it's easier for him to stop it because he has been around. You can't discard experience. And Patricia Ete was young. We know the story. Mr. Integrity was young when they proved the subsidy. We know the story. So let's not assume that young people always want to make a name. Many young persons now want to make money. As a matter of fact, I can say safely that young people of today know how to spend money more than old people. They know all the fine spots, Belize, Honolulu, Hawaii, all sorts of places to go on holiday. You are laughing now, and I suspect you, but I don't want to go there. All of these places you people go to hang out. Young people know them. They know about Bugatti. They know about Ferrari. They know about Lamborghini. They say, I'm not saying the old people don't waste money. I'm just saying that young people have their problems. Old people have their problems. So we should have the capacity to assess people per time, irrespective of whether they are young or middle-aged.
But Mr. Larry, if this person doesn't have a past antecedent, right, how then can you assess?
Sorry, the point I'm making is if you are assessing an old person, middle-aged person, for instance, it's easier because he has a lot of footprints you can use to assess him. It's even more difficult to assess a young person because you're assessing a young person based on his intentions, his good intentions and good statements. He may not have demonstrated capacity, positively or negatively speaking. I don't know if you understand my position. Exactly. That is, if you're assessing a man who is 65 years, you can't tell how he did it. If you're assessing a man who is 35 years, who may not have done much, you are trusting him more or less based on, he has a first class or two, and he did, so he has done very little. I'm not saying that we shouldn't consider young people. I'm saying that we should focus more on how to do some serious scrutiny and be able to make projections and say, okay, based on where this person is coming from, based on his antecedents, we can trust him to do X, Y, Z. That is why people brandish their potentials. When Kingsley Moghalu was running for president, he kept brandishing his potential and credentials. He said, I worked for CBN and nobody can improve my integrity. He said it repeatedly and nobody did. I didn't take anything from anybody. I didn't inflate any contract. He kept throwing his pedigree on the table. I'm the only person who has written a book prescribing solutions for Nigeria. Show me any other person who has done it. He put a credential on the table. So when we want to look for men, people like that, Kingsley Moghalu deserves another. Thank God he's not a politician anymore. He's not content, so nobody was campaigning for him. But I had to read his book. He sat down and actually provided solutions. That's hard work. Hundreds of pages of solutions. He worked for an apex institute in Nigeria. I'm sure his political opponents would have gone to check whether he did some things wrong. They didn't see anything because I'm sure he talked so loud they would have wanted to nail him. So when we want to, and he's relatively young, but he has done things that can make you say, I think this one is good though. We can give him this responsibility. But there are some young people who just have the capacity to talk well. They are demagogues, and when you give them the position, suddenly they realize that This thing is not about talk. Oh. There are also old people who are a disaster, who don't respect their age at all. They just, in fact, my pain with old people is that when they steal money, you ask yourself, what are they stealing the money for? How many more years do they have to live? But they steal the money all the same. Because it has become a cultural disposition for our people to steal money when they are in office. It's unfortunate. So there are very few persons who don't do that. And if you don't do it, even your own people, your relations will call you out. You say, this is our turn. You are not bringing the money home. You are not giving us opportunities to loot. There's a book titled This is Our Chance in those days. So I think we need to be careful about this issue of young, old, not so young, not so old. Okay, look at the new, we assume that we need new breed. Oh, we need new people in the National Assembly to retire the old people. I agree. But the new people that we brought in from Labour Party, and so what are they doing now for us? The new young people who are there, Labour Party people, what did they say when the SUV money was being discussed? They didn't say anything. What have they said? They have not said. They say that the minority will have their say, while majority will have their way. Let them say at least. Let majority have their way. They don't say anything. So let's stop making these assumptions. We need to dive deeper to look for solutions to Nigeria's problems. We need to assess people based on who they are, based on their antecedents, based on privileges they have had and how they manage those privileges, based on responsibilities they have had and how they manage those responsibilities. We shouldn't even assess them based on what they say. We need to go deeper and investigate. You were an SUG president. How did you lead your school? So some of these people were class reps, and they stole money in the class, in the university, and their classmates knew. They would discuss it and say, oh, this guy is going to, these people don't suffer. That's why I like these Europeans and Americans. They will go and check you from primary school.
Mr. Larry, what is the role of the DSS in all of this, right? Because before the president goes ahead to appoint someone into any position, they're supposed to do due diligence to check. So what exactly is their role in ensuring that people who are corrupt do not slither into positions of power?
The job of DSS is, what is the Department of Security Services? Their job is not really to map your general character if you want to be strict about it. We should have a department, for instance, in EFCC, that will partner with DSS to dig out information. But I don't trust government agencies. You know why? If a president wants to appoint someone, somehow, even when that report comes, the report is a report. It's a report. So they're not in a position to tell the president what to do. You just give him the security report. He decides what to do. You see, I think it's the responsibility of the people and the media to expose these things. Kemi Adeosu was not exposed by DSS, nor was she exposed by EFCC. But Kemi Adeosu eventually resigned because she couldn't take the trauma that she was passing through because of the debate. I think we need to get to that point where if they say we want to appoint Larry Ogego to be so, we may have a social media handle where we post candidates, for instance, for ministerial appointments and say, if you are his schoolmate, if you are from his village, if you are, tell us about him. Start talking. Your time starts now.
Like the way they do in marriages. If you have any reason why these two should not be joined, speak now and forever hold your peace.
Tell us now. We need to begin to read bans of appointment, not just bans of marriage. Tell us now. After that, don't criticize, keep your peace. You'll be surprised people will talk. That when we were in secondary school, it was like, it was in the course of telling us now that somebody said Obama used drugs. And the moment I said yes, as a young person, like typical young persons, I experimented with at that time and I stopped. And that puts that to rest. But if they say, oh, he used it as a teenager, used it again, use it again. Go and check the man well. A junkie cannot be president. So I think we need to get to that point where we are more careful about appointment. It's as if we have digressed and, in the course of looking at leadership for
Looking at
NDDC. But I
corruption.
don't think it's really a digression, because if you don't appoint people who are competent to lead Southeast Development Commission, the Northwest, and all of these, all the plethora of commissions were
Mr.
setting
Larry,
up,
we have a
it
call.
will just be the same story.
We have a call. All right. Hello, good morning. Hello, I'm doing well. Good morning. Who is this?
My name is Honorable Mukhtar Ayogora.
All right. You're welcome. Go ahead.
Okay. I'd love to contribute on this new development we are discussing today about Northwest Development Commission. Actually, everybody is entitled to his own opinion, but this is a very welcome development. First of all, I would like to appreciate the effort of His Excellency, the distinguished Senator Dr. Barrow Jibril, who sponsor and uphold the deal from the beginning to the end, the conclusion side. Yesterday, we witnessed the sign of Mr. President to the deal. So actually, those who are from the Northwest are happy, because people know that kidnapping, banditry, missing cows, a lot of issues of insecurity happen there, and we have to have the closest authority who check it and look into. So based on those reasons, that's why this commission was established, and people are in panic that corruption will take place. So those people are different. At times, this insecurity and lack of cooperation and integration as well. But we have to have a synergy among those 7 states to tackle the corruption, and we have to have stakeholders from those 7 states also to talk. I believe with the people like Tinubu Senator Morojigun on board, they will watch it and they will monitor it, and definitely we will have the ones what we wish or what our people need to see. I think this is the right time for us to have this commission. It's a highly needed and highly commendable. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much for your time this morning. All right, Mr. Larry, did you hear what the caller said?
Unfortunately, not clearly.
Okay.
You can paraphrase.
Okay. He talked about the concerns of corruption in the country, but he's hoping that with the people who spearheaded the this commission's coming into power, that they will be able to watch and man to ensure that issues of corruption does not come up. However, I mean, it's a very sticky situation, but let's know your thoughts before we wrap up the conversation.
Yes, I think what he's saying makes sense in the to the extent that the people who pioneered the establishment of the development commissions can also insist on providing oversight, but they can only do so much if they don't get the assistance of the people, the security agencies, and all of that. So it's a good idea that if these guys really represent the interests of the people and they want the commissions to work, they should, especially since they are in the National Assembly and they have the capacity to do oversight, they can keep an eye on what they do. But they have other things to do. They have other jobs. So we must have that consciousness that oversight shouldn't be a matter of, they appointed people to do oversight. National Assembly is the institution. No, all of us have the power of oversight. It's like when we're discussing the elections, I told the people that, see, we are all election monitors. This idea of putting ID card on somebody's neck and telling the person you're monitoring, it doesn't make sense. All of us are monitors. All of us should monitor the election. Practically every voter, and even people who are not qualified to vote, are supposed to monitor an election. Because if I'm not qualified to vote, the people who are voting on my behalf, they are actually going to influence my future. So even if I'm 16 years and I can observe what is happening and report, I should observe and report. So So when we get to that point where we understand that the office of the citizen is all encompassing and should take responsibility for the welfare of the citizen, when we get to that point, when that consciousness comes up, then we will be able to better hold political leaders accountable. And they will be able to better prevent appointment of fraudulent persons and incompetent persons into office. Because very often we know that these men and women are incompetent. We know that they cannot do well. But because they are from our village, our church, our political party, we keep quiet. Then when they now do very bad things, we start shouting. And that's not good enough. We need to be able to actually bail the cat before the cat becomes a nuisance. Unfortunately, we don't do that. So I think we need to even go beyond the legislators. All of us should provide oversight when we want to insist that our public servants do well.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Larry. We absolutely appreciate your time. Thank you.
It's my privilege, and I hope we're all listening to the voice of the people, and that we will do what we have to do to ensure that the voice of the people will be respected by the leaders of the people. You have a wonderful day.
All right. Thank you so much. Nonso is here, the sports bishop.
At some point, I thought I wasn't here. But I'm here. I think we need an extra, maybe 1 hour, for you guys to have this. Because I don't think 45 minutes is enough for Larry to express or his thoughts.
It's not enough.
Absolutely. So, but I enjoyed the conversation. And this is where we are in this country at the moment.
All right, moving on to sports and sports bit. We have Toby Amusan, who has been named Nigeria's flag bearer for Paris 2024 Olympics. Absolutely amazing. I mean, it's the first time in...
We will skip with athletics. Come on, you know our time is fast spent, so I'll try as much as possible to quick and very simple. We hear that our boxers, first of all, have landed in 92 kg. Both of them have arrived Paris for the games. 92 kg. Both of them have arrived Paris for the games as well. Talking about Paris, apart from Tobiloba Lomongusu, we told you who is our flag bearer, our Nurse Apoyori, who is also the team captain. We hear that the Tigers will be taking on the Japanese counterpart in a friendly game. That game is on Wednesday, the final friendly game. After 2 losses to Serbia and Germany, they will take on Japan on Wednesday as they begin their preparation. That game will take place at 8 p.m. in Lille, in France. As well, we hear the list has been released, talking about the Tigers that will represent Nigeria at the Paris Olympic Games. Wish them all the best of luck. We know it's going to be easy, but wait and see how they pan out. To football, we hear the NFF has got into a partnership with the government of Kaduna State. We hear the Ahmadu Bello Stadium will be up and running in no time, as the NFF and, of course, the state government are working hard to ensure that the stadium becomes up to speed and can host national teams, talking about across all levels. Also, looking at the AFCON, we have Morocco has begun preparation for the 2026 African Cup of Nations that will take place from December to January. We hear that the Mohammed V Stadium in Casablanca has begun renovation. And don't forget, they will also host the 2025 WAFCON. And so, come on, it's Morocco all through. The preparation has begun already. In the MPFL, we hear that they have signed a mega deal with a UK TV, talking about IMG. We hear the deal is worth to run for 3 years. That's what we're hearing. It's going to run for 3 years with an option, 3 to 5 years, with an option for renewal according to the agreement. This was done when the NFF president and, of course, the sport minister did travel to the UK to ensure. So if you're looking for how our league can get on TV, it looks likely that this mega deal will come, will be the answer to all our problems. Still talking MPFL, we hear the National Board has officially dissolved the board of National United. We hear that a new board will be announced before the August kickoff of the Nigerian Premier Football League board. Yesterday, it was confirmed. Hopefully at 5 p.m. during the Spotlight, I'll be speaking with a certain media officer of that team, H.M. Moses, to give us an insight on what went down in that one. Good news, we hear MPFL champions Rangers have signed Bashir Usman on a 2-year deal from Niger Tornadoes. He will join up the team as they prepare for the CAF Champions League. We hear also in Rivers United, we hear that they have given Edward Green, he has been officially announced as the assistant coach of Rivers United. Talking about Edward Green, former coach of Sporting Lagos. Still talking MPFL, Harry Abiodun have stepped down as the technical consultant to Sunshine Stars. He said that the team is being run in an unprofessional way. I don't know what he means by that, but he stepped down. Don't forget, it's not been too long ago that he was added into that team. And for here, Togolese Mwawena, he has renewed his contract with Remo Stars. We hear he has signed a contract extension with the team, keeping him at the Sky Blues for the next season. In that one, still talking transfers in the MPFL, we hear that Rwanda Premier League club Muhazi has captured forward Baboa Samson. He was with Sunshine FC last season. He joins up in the league in that one. Okay. Quickly before we go, we hear the under-17 team as well have begun campaign. All 30 players are comprising of the junior teams in the MPFL. They've started campaign as they prepare for their tour of Spain. They began the campaign on the 21st of July here in Abuja. Quickly, before we go, we hear that Diaby is close to a 50 plus £4 million move to Al Ittihad from Aston Villa. De Bruyne, we told you yesterday, is heading nowhere. That's according to a certain Pep Guardiola. We hear that the leagues, including the Premier League and of course FIFPro, are suing FIFA. They say FIFA are giving these players too much games to play. They say the demands on the players is becoming too much. It's affecting not only their mental health, but their physical health of this player. But I ask myself, how do you make a huge amount of money and I want to play a huge amount of game? So they're suing FIFA to court. Wait and see how that one pans out. UEFA has charged, set up a disciplinary committee against Rodri and of course Alvaro Morata for chanting Gibraltar is Spain. Don't forget, we try to separate sport and politics, and so they'll be under investigation. If they're found guilty, they could be go under the knife. And quickly, we heard that Andy Murray had decided to retire after the Paris Olympic Games. This will be his fourth Olympic. He's won the Olympics before for Great Britain. He says this could be his final. Hooray! And finally, a certain rapper talking about Snoop Dogg will carry the torch bearer for the final. He will be the final torch bearer for the Olympic flame before Friday's opening ceremony in Paris. He will be the one holding the frame as the frame gets its way to the Eiffel Tower. That's so much I can take on the show today, but come on. Don't worry, tomorrow will be a better day.
I mean, I'm very excited about Snoop Dogg and what he's going to do, but more so, I'm excited about our own Nigerians and how they are going to do basketballs in that place. I'm just hopeful that they will do well.
Absolutely.
That's all we can hope
absolutely. And later in the evening, we'll talk about a deal we hear. Ayomi Diron, a foundation, is beginning a new initiative. We'll talk about that more 5 p.m. Yes. On Sport Lounge. So more to come on the channel.
All right, so you have to tune in at 5 p.m. to get more details. I mean, it's a lounge, so it's going to be very laid back conversation with our sports analysts, and everyone is going to be there to just converse about sports, every single thing from football to cricket to
tennis.
I hear there's a new golfer in the military, Nigerian military, female as well,
doing great stuff. Yeah,
exactly. So it's going to be very expanded conversation. Make sure that you tune in at 5 p.m. VOP 96.1 FM is the station that you're tuned into. My name is Gesire Agua.
And I am Nonso Aruzichi, your sport bishop.
All right. Until we meet again at